Okay, I'm putting some glue in the trench here, making sure that every part of the trench is covered. Then using a small scrap of wood to just spread the glue in the trench. Trying to make sure the walls of the trench are covered in glue as well, not just the bottom of the trench, to make sure all the sides of the purfling is stuck to the trench as well. Now I'm stacking up my pieces of purfling and pushing them down into the trench in the right place, and then sliding the Teflon strip in between layers of purfling, and this has a kind of clamping effect, forces the purfling out to either side of the trench. Now I'm running all of this all the way around the rosette and making sure it's all seated correctly in the right place. Now it's all into the hole, just tapping it down with the fretting hammer, making sure it's all at the bottom of the trench, and using a screwdriver to push down the Teflon strip right into the bottom as well. And again, this has a kind of clamping effect that really forces the purfling to the sides of the trench. It's really good, and it should be quite tight when it goes in. Really just pressing everything down, making sure everything's properly seated, just double, triple checking, making sure everything's good. Now cleaning up the glue squeeze out, just cleaning the main amount off. One more tap just to be sure. And that's it, everything's done. Okay, so the glue's all dry now and everything's nicely glued in place. The next thing to do is to, when you come to it, just remove this Teflon strip here. It should pull out quite nice and easily. And I've already gone ahead and put my abalone in, so I don't know if you can see that in there, but the abalone is in there now. And the way that you do that is just to get your strips of abalone. Mine actually come pre-curved. You just put them into your slot, and again just press them down with whatever you have. And another little trick I want to share with you is I take the Teflon strip and just put it back over the top. Once you've got your abalone all in, put it back over the top in the same slot, and this should stand a little bit proud now of the rest of your purfling and stuff like that, which gives you something that you can press on, and you can also just tap it down as well, and that should get your abalone seated really nicely in the slot. And the other thing to just be careful of when you're putting your abalone in is to make sure that the ends meet. Make sure that your joins between your pieces meet nicely and it all looks neat and tidy. And once you've done that, then you're ready to put some super glue in there. Got some thin viscosity super glue here. I've also got just a tiny little nozzle there to go on it. So now I just use this to wick the glue into the small gaps. You want to put a decent amount in, but not too much, because the more you put in, the more difficult it's going to be to clean off afterwards. So just enough to wick in there. I've made sure that there's enough super glue in there to just wick down and glue everything into place, and I'm going to leave that for a good while now, the glue to cure, and I'm going to come back to it and scrape everything down. Super glue's gone off, and it's time to just start taking some of this excess material off. So I've got a hand plane, little block plane, sorry. Start planing some of this extra material off. Take this pin out. Get that out of the way now. Almost finished on this now. Just got to do the final stage. I used the hand plane just to get it down to almost flush with the surface, but I didn't want to go too far just in case I end up taking a chunk out of the soundboard. So now, just to finish this off and get it totally flush, I've got a cabinet scraper and some sandpaper. I've got a sanding block and some 180, 240 and some 320. I'm just going to scrape as much off as I can and then sand it totally flush with the sanding blocks and the sandpaper. Also, I've clamped it down to the bench now so that I can use both hands for scraping. Start with the sandpaper now. Keep feeling with your finger just to see whether it's flush or not. Okay, that's good. Feeling nice and flush. So go for finer sandpaper, go for the 240. And finish it off with some 320. Grab a rag. Polish that up a tiny bit so you can see already in the light that is looking quite nice already. And that is a finished rosette. You couldn't really see it in the video, so here are some pictures of the finished rosette. I think it's going to look awesome on the finished instrument. One last thing to add to this video is just how to actually route the sound hole itself. And so to do that, I've set up the circle cutting jig on the Dremel again with the same down spiral bit, and I've set the bit from the center of the pin to the outside of the router bit 50mm, because the sound hole itself is going to be 100mm. I've also set it to a depth of 1mm because I'm going to cut through this 1mm at a time, and I've routed that into this piece of scrap ply here just to make sure it is exactly right. Had to make some adjustments to it, Started off at 99.5, so I had to just tweak it a tiny bit to get it to 100. And that is spot on 100 now. This is all set up, everything's tight, everything's screwed on tightly as it should be, and so I'm ready to start cutting through the sandal. Okay, I'll just set this another millimetre deeper. So, something like that. Tiny bit more. Okay, it's 2mm now. Okay, so go for the second cut. Okay, that's to a depth of 2mm now. And if I go 1mm deeper, this should go straight through the last bit then. So I'm going to set this to 3mm. The soundboard is 2.5. So 3mm should go straight through it. Okay, all ready to do the final cut. And there you have it. Sound hole cut. Rosette done. And I'm all good to start moving on with the bracing. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching and stay tuned to see more of my videos coming up. Thanks very much everyone, see you soon.